Welcome back to Azeem USA, everybody. We are thrilled you're joining us for another deep dive today. And really quickly, before we jump into the absolute madness of today's topic, just a huge thank you to everyone supporting the stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you enjoy the content, please consider using Super Chat, dropping a super thanks, or, joining the channel membership for those exclusive perks. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives.
It really does.
And we are talking about the Apple AirPods Max 2.
Finally. I mean, it's been, what, almost 6 years?
Exactly, a nearly 6-year wait. And as someone who loves getting into the weeds on consumer tech, you might be wondering, well, what actually changed after 6 years? And that is the ultimate hook here. It is this bizarre contradiction.
What's there?
Physically, you look at them and they are almost entirely identical to the 2020 originals. But internally, it's a completely different beast. It's a total paradigm shift.
What's fascinating here is that tension you just mentioned. You have this this beautiful, recognizable exterior that just refuses to age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's housing an internal architecture that Apple has completely rewritten from the ground up.
Yeah.
We're going to synthesize why that internal shift is so crucial, because this really moves the AirPods Max from just being a device that plays music to, well, a device that actively processes your physical reality.
I love that way of putting it, because context really is everything here. Like, if you bought those original Gen 1s back in December 2020, you've spent the last couple of years living this incredibly frustrating reality.
Oh, yeah. Watching the entry-level earbuds just run circles around your flagship headphones.
Right. You paid top dollar $549 for this premium over-ear experience, only to watch, your friend's tiny, vastly cheaper AirPods Pro do all these computational magic tricks that your heavy metal headphones just couldn't do.
And McRumors really hammered this point home in their analysis. The flagship was essentially being cannibalized by the entry-level tier, and the bottleneck there was entirely silicon.
The H1 chip.
Exactly. The original Max relied on that H1 chip, which, I mean, it was a marvel for its time, but it eventually just hit a hard computational ceiling. Apple's software engineering simply outpaced what that hardware could physically calculate.
Right.
It couldn't run the complex new audio algorithms that Apple's been developing. So, to finally fix this, they performed this massive brain transplant and dropped the H2 chip into the Max 2.
It makes me think of, imagine you have this beautifully restored 1960s classic car parked in your garage, and then while you aren't looking, someone swaps the engine out for a state-of-the-art electric motor or like a quantum computer.
That's a great analogy.
Right. Visually, not a single piece of chrome is different, but you turn the key, and it's a totally different machine. But I do have to ask, just stepping back a bit, why do headphones even need that much computational power? Because, growing up, good headphones just meant bigger speakers, stronger magnets, maybe a thicker wire.
Right. It was all physical acoustics.
Yeah. So why do we suddenly need a supercomputer sitting over our ears?
Because modern audio is no longer just a hardware game of pushing air around. It is fundamentally a software game now.
Interesting.
The H2 chip isn't just taking a digital file and converting it into an analog sound wave. It is actively listening to the environment around you, analyzing that acoustic data thousands of times per second, and then mathematically altering the sound waves before they even hit your eardrum.
So it's literally doing real-time calculus, not just playing a Spotify track.
Continually. Yeah, the microphones on the outside of the ear cups are feeding all this environmental data to the H2 chip. And the chip models that acoustic space, predicts how those specific sound waves will travel through the physical materials of the headphones, and then generates custom audio to neutralize or enhance it. And doing that requires immense processing overhead. The H1 just couldn't do the math fast enough. So the H2 is the engine that finally unlocks all those modern creature comforts.
Okay, so let's look at exactly what that new engine does to the environment around you, starting with the big headline from the press release, which is the upgraded Active Noise Cancellation, or ANC.
Right, the sound of silence.
Apple is claiming the ANC is now up to 1.5 times more effective, which, considering the originals were already top tier, a 50% jump is massive. And the sources specifically highlighted how it handles low-frequency drones, like airplane engines, commuter trains, or noisy HVAC units in your office.
And to understand how it achieves that 1.5x metric, you have to look at how noise cancellation actually works. It's not just a thick wall-blocking sound.
Right.
Sound is a physical pressure wave traveling through the air. So what the H2 chip does is catch that incoming wave, like the deep rumble of a jet engine, and in a fraction of a millisecond, it calculates the exact mathematical inverse of that wave.
I see.
Then it plays that anti-noise through the drivers into your ear.
It's like throwing a rock into a pond to create a ripple and then instantly throwing a second rock to create the exact opposite ripple so the water just stays completely flat.
That is the exact physics of phase inversion.
Yes.
The two waves collide and cancel each other out, leaving zero pressure on your eardrum.
That's wild.
And the reason the H2 is so much better at this is pure processing speed. Low-frequency drones are heavy, sustained waves. The H2 can sample and invert those specific frequencies vastly quicker than the older models.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the reality is, we can't always just exist in a total sensory deprivation tank, right? We have to interact with the world. And this is where the new smart features really catch my eye, specifically adaptive audio and conversation awareness. From what the reviewers are saying, adaptive audio automatically blends that intense ANC with transparency mode based on where you are.
Seamlessly, yeah.
And conversation awareness actually lowers your music and amplifies the voices of people in front of you the very second you start talking.
And then, the moment your conversation ends, the music just seamlessly fades right back up. It's totally hands-free.
Does this mean we are entering an era where we never actually have to take our headphones off to exist in society? Like, is that the goal?
It definitely challenges our traditional ideas of politeness, that's for sure. But Apple is striking a really complex balance here. On one hand, the physical design, the memory foam, the clamping force is engineered to create this perfect acoustic seal to isolate you.
Right, physically separating you.
Exactly. But on the other hand, they're using the H2 chip to instantly digitally reconnect you to the world the exact millisecond someone talks to you.
But doesn't that sound artificial? Like older headphones always have that weird robotic echo when they pipe in outside sound?
They do. But the reviewers noted that the digital signal processing on the Max 2 makes transparency mode sound entirely natural. It strips away that synthesized echo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the chip is applying equalization so your brain genuinely doesn't perceive a difference between having the headphones on or off. The barista's voice sounds exactly like it would if you weren't wearing anything at all.
Which is vital if you're going to leave them on while ordering coffee. But taking that a step further, what if that barista speaks an entirely different language?
Right.
Because this leads us to what I think is the most futuristic feature powered by Apple Intelligence, live translation.
The 9 to 5 Mac reviewer specifically called this out as the peak practical application of Apple's AI.
Yeah. So according to the specs, if you pair these with an iPhone running iOS 26.4 or later, you get real-time, in-person translated conversations across multiple supported languages. You just press and hold the button, and it translates what the person is saying right into your ear.
It's the universal translator from sci-fi.
Exactly. But how is that fast enough for a real conversation? Because usually, translation apps are so clunky.
It's because of the localization of the AI models. Normally, your phone records the audio, bounces it to a server farm, waits for the cloud to process it, and then sends it back. That 3 to 5 second latency destroys natural conversation.
Yeah, you just stand there staring awkwardly at each other.
Precisely. That's why the iOS 26.4 requirement is key. The large language model is running locally on the iPhone's neural engine, and the H2 chip handles the immediate zero-latency audio routing.
So no cloud involved.
Bypasses the cloud entirely. You hear the translation almost simultaneously with their lip movements.
That is insane. And alongside that AI stuff, they added a bunch of other internal upgrades. The sources mention a new high dynamic range amplifier for clearer instruments, Bluetooth 5.3, voice isolation for scrubbing out background noise on phone calls, and using the digital crown as a camera remote.
Right, bringing it all up to the modern baseline.
But there is one spec that I really want to push back on, the addition of 24-bit 48 kilohertz lossless audio.
Okay, let's hear it.
So on paper, lossless audio sounds amazing. But to get the absolute best uncompressed audio out of Apple's ultimate wireless headphones, you have to plug them in with a physical USB-C wire.
Yep.
Wait, really? Is this just Apple being stubborn, or is there an actual reason I have to plug in my wireless headphones?
I mean, it sounds ironic, but it's a strict limitation of bandwidth physics. Uncompressed, 24-bit lossless audio is a massive, heavy stream of digital data. Current Bluetooth technology, even Bluetooth 5.3, just does not have the pipeline capacity to transmit that much data through the air in real time.
So Bluetooth has to compress it.
Inevitably. It chops the file up, throws it through the air, and stitches it back together, which loses acoustic detail. The USB-C wire provides a shielded physical highway for that heavy data load.
Okay, but who is actually going to do that?
Well, Apple explicitly targets creators, podcasters, and musicians using Logic Pro in their press release. They even upgraded to a new studio-quality mic array.
Oh, so it's a pro feature.
Exactly. If you're mixing in Logic Pro, even a 50-millisecond Bluetooth delay when you press a synth key is totally unacceptable. The wire eliminates that latency.
Got it. So it's a highly specific niche for audiophiles, while 99% of people are just going to enjoy the improved wireless sound on the go.
Absolutely. Most consumers will ignore the USB-C audio entirely. But for creators, it's a non-negotiable inclusion.
Which brings us to the physical reality of the Max 2. We've talked about all these invisible, feather-light computational upgrades, but eventually you have to put these on your head and you have to pay for them.
And that's where the tech reviewers get pretty critical.
Yeah, because physically, the design remains totally unchanged. They still use the same anodized aluminum cups, the stainless steel frame, the knit mesh canopy, no lighter titanium or anything.
Which means they still weigh a very hefty 13.6 ounces.
That's almost a pound of metal on your head. And reviewers point out this causes genuine physical fatigue over an 8-hour workday.
Yeah, the only physical changes are the shift to USB-C charging, which was inevitable due to regulations, and 5 new colors: Midnight, Starlight, Blue, Purple, and Orange.
But the price remains locked at $549. And I found this wild stat in the 9 to 5 Mac analysis. For $549, you are paying $50 more than the starting price of the new MacBook Neo.
That is a wild perspective.
A pair of headphones costs more than a laptop. And they didn't even fix the most meme-ified complaint of the last 6 years. They still come with the exact same bra-like smart case.
Ah, the infamous smart case.
The Mac Rumors host literally said, "I absolutely do not like it because it leaves the most delicate part of the headband totally exposed in your bag." Why did Apple keep this?
Well, looking at Apple's minimalist philosophy, a traditional hard-shell case for headphones that don't fold up would be massive. It would take up half your backpack. The smart case just protects the aluminum from scratching itself and puts the headphones into an ultra-low power state. It's all about reducing bulk.
But for $549, I feel like reducing bulk shouldn't mean leaving the mesh vulnerable. So, given the weight, the case, and the price, is this internal brain transplant actually enough to justify the upgrade?
Synthesizing what the reviewers are saying, it really depends on what hardware you currently own. If you bought the Gen 1s back in 2020, your battery is probably heavily degraded by now.
Oh, for sure.
In that case, upgrading to the Max 2 is a massive worthy jump. Get the H2 chip, the USB-C convenience, the AI features. It solves the battery anxiety and makes the device way smarter.
But what if your Gen 1s are fine?
If your Gen 1s still hold a charge, or if you're perfectly happy with the $250 AirPods Pro 3, which, remember, had the exact same H2 chip, then the Max 2 is strictly a luxury purchase. It's for people who specifically crave that premium over-ear aesthetic and that physical acoustic seal.
So, synthesizing everything we've unpacked today from our sources, the AirPods Max 2 are basically a masterclass in modern computational audio hiding inside a 6-year-old chassis. Apple injected it with the H2 brain it desperately needed, bringing it up to speed with adaptive audio, USB-C, and local AI live translation, all while carving out that niche for creators with the wired lossless support.
It's a profound internal evolution, perfectly masked by an exterior that just refuses to change.
Well said. And I want to thank you, the listener, for spending your time with us today on Azeem USA. We love digging into the mechanics of this stuff with you. And hey, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and support the channel's growth via super thanks and channel memberships. It means the world to us.
And before we sign off, I just want to leave you with one final thought based on what we explored today.
Go for it.
We talked a lot about the H2 chip actively altering your reality in real time, tracking your head movements, protecting your hearing from loud sirens, translating foreign languages on the fly.
Constantly mediating your environment.
Exactly. If a device is constantly doing all of that,
Mm-hmm.
we really need to stop thinking of them merely as headphones. It raises a provocative question. With the AirPods Max 2, are we actually looking at our first true mainstream foray into everyday wearable augmented reality?
Oh, wow. Now that is something to think about the next time you slip them on and the world just fades away. Thanks for tuning in to Azeem USA, everybody. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.